For months, whispers circled around JayDaYoungan's murder, whispers about beef, money, and the kind of revenge you don't see coming until it's too late. But now, those whispers have names. Two of them. Lil Meech, and his shadow in the game. Lil Meech. Sources are calling it the real story. The blogs were too scared to print. Not just a feud. Not just a bad night. This was an orchestrated move, a murder plot straight out of a street chessboard, with JayDaYoungan as the king they decided to knock over. Why? Money. Ego. Betrayal. And maybe something even darker. One anonymous DM said, "This wasn't random. This was a message." Another claimed, Lil Meech was the face, Lil Meech was the brain. And when they move together, people disappear. So was JayDaYoungan doomed before he even knew he was in danger? And if both Meeches were involved, who else is ready to talk? Let's break it down, and trust me, it gets uglier. The streets don't just talk, they remember. And when it comes to JayDaYoungan, the memory is like an open wound that never stopped bleeding. Before that fatal night, the tension had been building like a loaded gun sitting on the table. The blogs only ever saw glimpses, a few subliminal shots on Instagram, a song lyric that sounded just a little too personal, or the kind of public "I don't know him" denial that always means the opposite. But behind closed doors, the real moves were being made. See, everyone thought Lil Meech was just an up-and-coming rapper trying to make his own lane. But in certain corners of the game, people were saying otherwise. They were saying he wasn't just in the lane, he was driving the car. And in the passenger seat? A name most outsiders didn't even know. Lil Meech. Lil Meech didn't chase the spotlight. No flashy chains. No "look at me" club appearances. He was the guy in the back of the room, leaning against the wall, phone in hand, eyes scanning the whole scene without saying a word. And if you ask the people who know, that's the guy you should be scared of. One source close to the situation, and yeah, you know the type, the ones who suddenly remember everything when the cameras aren't rolling, claimed this all started months before the murder. A business deal gone wrong. JayDaYoungan had supposedly backed out of something, leaving both Meeches embarrassed in front of some very powerful people. The story floating around? Jay didn't just back out, he called them out. Said they weren't built for the life they were claiming. In the streets, those words are more dangerous than any weapon. Because disrespect doesn't wash off. And that's where the planning allegedly began. Not in some smoky back room or a secret meeting in the dead of night. Nah. This was quieter. More precise. Lil Meech played the visible role, still dropping music, still doing interviews, acting like everything was fine. Meanwhile, Lil Meech was laying the groundwork. Fake accounts started DMing JayDaYoungan with business opportunities and feature requests. Friends noticed cars parked down the street that didn't belong to anyone in the neighborhood. Every time Jay went live on Instagram, there were a few new usernames in the comments, all dropping the same weird, cryptic lines. The paranoia was real, but here's the thing about paranoia. Sometimes it's just reality catching up. One anonymous text, allegedly sent from a prepaid phone, read, "You're not untouchable. Stop talking." Another, sent just 2 days before the murder, simply said, "Your time's up." And while all of this was happening, the Meeches were keeping their distance publicly. No direct shots. No interviews mentioning Jay's name. Just silence, the kind that feels louder than any diss track. But the streets were talking. In barbershops, in backrooms, in DMs that vanish after one view. The word was that the Meeches weren't just angry, they were plotting. One person even claimed they overheard Lil Meech on the phone saying, "It's already set. All that's left is the green light." JayDaYoungan's circle tried to keep him grounded, telling him to lay low, focus on music, avoid certain spots. But if you know anything about pride in this game, you know that laying low feels like admitting you've already lost. And Jay wasn't the type to go out looking scared. Then came the night that changed everything. Jay was seen at a local event, nothing major, just a small get-together, music playing, drinks flowing. But according to multiple witnesses, there were faces in the crowd that didn't belong there. People no one recognized, keeping to themselves, eyes fixed on Jay. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. One of Jay's friends even pulled him aside and said, "Yo, I don't like the energy in here. Let's go." But Jay waved it off, saying, "Ain't nobody doing nothing to me." What he didn't know was that miles away, a car was idling, engine running. Inside were men wearing dark hoodies, speaking in low voices. The name on their lips? JayDaYoungan. And according to a later leaked audio clip, one of those voices sounded eerily like Lil Meech. By the time Jay left the event, the trap was already set. He didn't get far. And that's where the first pieces of the puzzle started falling into place. Security camera footage, eyewitness accounts, and a handful of anonymous tips that all seemed to point in the same direction. Two names kept coming up, and for those paying attention, it was no surprise. The night JayDaYoungan lost his life didn't unfold in chaos at first. It unfolded like a chess game. Every move calculated, every piece already in position. Hours before the shooting, there was chatter in certain group chats that didn't make sense at the time. Screenshots, later leaked to blogs, showed short messages like "it's tonight" and "tell him be ready." No names, no locations, but the timestamps lined up perfectly with what happened later. The alleged master planner? According to whispers, Lil Meech was the one pulling strings. Lil Meech might have been the face that fans knew, but Lil Meech was the voice people obeyed. And that night, his voice was everywhere. Phone calls, quiet conversations, and one particularly cold message that, according to one source who shouldn't be talking, simply said, "Lights out." JayDaYoungan's crew had no idea how close the danger was. They thought they were just heading home after a regular night, but the streets were already set against them. A suspicious sedan had been seen circling the block earlier that evening, headlights off, creeping like it didn't want to be noticed. Inside, at least 3 figures in masks. One eyewitness, a store clerk closing up shop, later told a local blogger, "I saw them parked across the street. They weren't talking, just watching. And the way they were watching? That wasn't random. They were waiting for someone." Then came the call, the one that turned the setup into action. It's rumored that Lil Meech himself wasn't physically at the scene. But phones are a dangerous thing. Even if you're not there, your voice can travel. A leaked 14-second audio clip, which has never been confirmed but has been passed around in certain circles, allegedly captures a voice sounding like Lil Meech saying, "It's a go. Handle it." Minutes later, Jay's car pulled onto a quiet street. The trap had been set perfectly. A single narrow lane, no cameras, and just enough cover for the shooters to hide in the shadows. That's when it happened. Gunshots tore through the silence. Short, rapid bursts at first, then a pause, then more. Witnesses say it felt like the air itself exploded. Jay's friends tried to react, but it was over in seconds. The attackers moved like they'd done this before, in, out, gone. By the time the sirens came, the street was empty except for the wreckage left behind. JayDaYoungan was down, and so was the quiet peace that had kept this beef from turning deadly, until that moment. The streets lit up instantly. Word traveled faster than the police reports. And while official sources stayed silent, the unofficial ones didn't. Screenshots of alleged DMs began to flood Instagram stories. One showed a message from a private account saying, "Told you he couldn't hide forever." Another, even more chilling, simply read, "Meech's don't forget." Some fans were in disbelief. "Nah, Meech would never do that," one person tweeted. Others weren't so sure. "If you know, you know. This been brewing," another wrote. And then came the part no one expected. The name Lil Meech started trending. He had never been a public figure, never dropped a song, never done an interview. But now, people were digging through old photos, blurry screenshots, and even street gossip to piece together who he was. What they found was enough to spark 100 conspiracy threads. Photos of him standing next to certain notorious figures. Old posts about handling business. Even a cryptic status from years ago that read, "Some things you can't forgive." By now, even people who had never followed JayDaYoungan's career were locked in. This wasn't just a rap beef anymore, it was a murder mystery, complete with shadowy figures, whispered threats, and a growing list of people who might have had something to gain from Jay's death. And if the rumors are to be believed, the Meeches weren't working alone. Some allege there was a third player, someone outside the immediate circle but with enough pull to connect the dots, provide intel, and make sure the shooters had everything they needed. Who that person was is still up for debate, but the streets have their guesses, and they're not names the industry wants out there. As the days passed, the online heat only grew. Some blogs started posting blurred-out images of people they claimed were at the scene. Others claimed to have exclusive voice notes linking Lil Meech and Lil Meech to the planning. And while the police kept their official statements vague, calling it an ongoing investigation. Certain insiders swear they've seen the uncut version of events. The version where names aren't blacked out and audio isn't muted. One of those insiders supposedly said they didn't just want him gone. They wanted it done in a way nobody could forget. But just when the internet thought they'd figured it out, another twist hit the timeline. A new name surfaced. A name that could change the entire story. Because according to one particularly wild claim, the real mastermind behind the scenes wasn't who anyone expected. And when that name dropped, the game shifted completely. The third player theory wasn't just another wild internet rumor. It was the missing puzzle piece that made the whole thing snap into place. For weeks, everyone's focus had been locked on Lil Meech and Meech. They were the obvious names, the ones tied to the streets, the whispers, the old grudges. But what if they weren't acting alone? What if someone else had been pulling strings quietly, using the Meeches like chess pieces? According to a source who claims to have seen the real paperwork, there was someone in the background who knew where JayDaYoungan would be, when he'd be there, and exactly how to make it look like a setup gone wrong instead of a straight hit. That person? An industry middleman who'd been close to both camps, someone with enough access to pass information but not enough spotlight to get noticed. And here's the sinister part, this wasn't about money. At least, not directly. This was about control. The leaked texts that surfaced days later showed messages from an unlisted number, reading, "They both ready. Just give the word." In another, same spot. No cameras. Clean. The tone was cold, almost mechanical. In street politics, there's a difference between a hot-headed move and a calculated one. This was calculated. People who knew Jay claim he had recently turned down an offer to work with a certain promoter tied to bigger, dirtier business in the rap game. It wasn't public. It wasn't in interviews. But inside circles? Everybody knew. And turning it down might have been the nail in his coffin. That's where the third player comes in. The Meeches might have carried the plan, but this third figure allegedly provided the setup, the perfect location, the heads up, even the signal to start. According to one definitely anonymous informant, this person made sure Jay's security detail was light that night. And here's where it gets darker. The same night Jay was killed, someone was spotted at a different location, laughing, drinking, acting like nothing happened. The person fit the description of this mysterious third player to a T. No stress, no panic, almost like they knew the plan had gone off without a hitch. It's a dangerous game when the people you think are your allies are the ones mapping out your downfall. Jay's sister, speaking quietly to someone at a memorial event, allegedly said, "It wasn't just them. There's another name you don't know about, yet." Those words spread like wildfire online. Twitter threads popped up overnight. YouTube channels with grainy thumbnails started dissecting every frame of footage from the night. Some claimed you could see this third player's car parked nearby. Others swore you could hear their voice in the background of the infamous audio clip. The most chilling theory? That this person had been testing Jay's loyalty for months, feeding him partial truths, watching how he moved, and then deciding whether he was an asset or a liability. And when the verdict came in, it was over. Police haven't named names, and maybe they never will. But insiders say there's a reason for the silence. This figure is still active, still connected, and still powerful enough to make problems disappear. One particularly bold blogger summed it up best. If you're wondering why nobody's been charged, it's because the man holding the strings is still holding the bag. For Jay's fans, this isn't just about a rapper's death anymore. It's about the web of betrayal that can swallow anyone in the game, no matter how careful they think they are. And as for the Meeches, they've gone quiet. No interviews, no public appearances, no cryptic Instagram lives. It's like they've melted back into the shadows, waiting for the streets to either forget or explode. But here's the thing about shadows. They always come back when the light shifts. And according to my absolutely not official sources, that shift might be coming sooner than anyone expects. Because someone's about to speak. Someone who was there. Someone who's been holding onto a piece of evidence so explosive, it could turn this entire case upside down in 24 hours. Until then, the streets are watching. And so are we. Because in this game, the truth doesn't just set you free, it gets you killed.